Hey everybody, welcome back to Out Reptiles. My name is Garrett Hartle, and in this week's video I want to talk about something a little different. In the last few years, the reptile industry has grown exponentially, but it's all been what we call horizontal growth. That is, the number of keepers that are working with reptiles in captivity today is greater possibly than ever before. What I'm concerned about with is, are we growing vertically as well? In other words, is our philosophy and our husbandry practices achieving a greater depth that is required to sustain a larger and more mainstream industry? In today's video, we're going to look at the top 3 ways that you can be a part of answering this question: how do we get better? Recently, here at Out Reptiles, we hosted over 150 people at an event that we called Retic Fest, which was basically a meeting of the minds of not so like-minded people, but a bunch of people that were interested all together in the health and well-being of dwarf and superdwarf retics and the market for them well into the future. This event was a great event because we had so many different perspectives on keeping, all meshing together in person around the animals that we love, which in many cases is the singular trait that we all share in common. Now, as a part of giving depth to this event in itself, we actually invited different speakers to come out, each an expert in their field, to talk about the different aspects of making this hobby everything we possibly can. First, we have Ryan McVey from VivTech Reptiles, who is leading the charge in pushing forward people's thinking to talk about what our animals physically need to thrive in captivity. Ryan, when you were out here at Retic Fest, one of the things that you're talking about is really physically caring for the reptiles. My main takeaway, if I had to boil it down to half a sentence, was not dead doesn't equal really living. How do we live with our animals really well?
The best thing you can do for any of your pets to improve yourself and your health and your interactions with them and their lives and your life is just keep learning, is just keep studying and finding different ways to think about things. And then on top of it, like, we try to tell people not to anthropomorphize and say, oh, my snake loves me and all that, but really there is a positive. I kind of want people to anthropomorphize them a little bit. Like, think about them like they're a living thing and they're a little person. Would you treat a person like that? You'd want them to have access to normal things that they would do and lighting that they would need, and to grow and to have the mental stability and the emotional stability to be able to have a natural, normal life. So no, I think that's really the best thing that you can do really for all of us, is really just continue to learn and be excited and always know that we can do better. That's the biggest thing too, is as soon as we think like we've got that down, this is it, that's when everybody just focuses on doing as good as that is. We got to continue to try and think further into the future, and how can we make things better, and how can we get more natural and make these animals' lives more amazing. Constantly looking at how are they utilizing their enclosure? Are they active? Are they moving around? And if they're not, how can you find cool ways to change? What are you missing? What are you lacking? How do you tweak it? How do you add things to their environment that allow them to be enriched? How do you do enrichment with them? When you're talking about animal production and creating pets for people, you could do huge enclosures, and then you'd have to reduce the amount of animals you could produce, which would increase the price, which would decrease the availability for people to be able to interact with them, which would increase, wild caught animals, things like, there's a ton of negative things that would go with that. So I think really when it comes down to it, we just got to start looking at it as these different avenues, as different sectors of the hobby that can all work together, and they don't need to be the same, but we all need to be looking to move our husbandry and our innovation and our enrichment forward, no matter what section it is.
Cool, man. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Later, man.
Next up, we have Torini, an animal behavioral specialist who's applying lessons learned from other types of vertebrates, such as mammals, to the keeping of reptiles in order to engage their minds. Thank you so much for the work that you do in general, not just with the super doors, but just for helping us to open our eyes to, a greater depth to that, keeping experience.
Optimize life for the animals that are in captivity, not because they chose to be. We've done this to them, and I feel like we owe them a responsibility we're already using force by keeping them in captivity. So now I feel we have a responsibility to make sure that we optimize that life as much as we can for them.
Yeah.
And we have to be able to blend that with the people who are breeding them and producing them. And I would somehow love to get across to people that some of the animals that you're producing will go to pet homes, will go to be family members, will go to zoos, or will go to educational programs. And if you don't prepare them to succeed in those environments, they're going to have difficulty adjusting. If they don't succeed in their new home, if a family gets a snake or an educational institution gets a snake and it doesn't cope well with that environment, then they are going to get rid of it. They're going to be disappointed with it, dissatisfied with it. And what's the first thing they're going to want to do is get rid of it. And that isn't right, because that's not the animal's fault. If it wasn't prepared to succeed under those situations and in those circumstances, that's not the animal's fault. Seeing the snakes doing the behaviors that they evolved to do is so exciting for me. And I think that why would you have one if that's not exciting for you? To see them moving, to see them climbing, to see them swimming, to see them engaging with their environment. It's extremely, I can watch them for hours. It's extremely entertaining.
Yeah. Amen. Thanks, Lori.
You're welcome.
Good to see you again. You take care of yourself,
too.
okay?
I will. You guys too.
And finally, we have Caleb from C&B Reptiles, who, with his father Bill, are owners of a specialty reptile shop out of Phoenix. Using their vast network, Caleb and Bill are actually making entirely new ways for us in the reptile industry to strengthen one another rather than beat each other up through competition. The way that you guys use community events as your number one source of marketing is super unique. How'd you get the idea to do that, and how's that worked out for you?
You know, we figured we were trying to think of a way to bring the community together in ways that will help everyone. So we just started doing, like, first Sunday every month, we'd have a different theme, a different sale on a species of animals, and then we'd even raffle off a little thing of the animals. All my breeders, that I've got about 12 or 13, I think, they all come in once a year, no charge whatsoever, and we run a little reptile show out of the shop. And we just have all my vendors that supply the store come in and sell whatever they got going on right now. Just doing little events like that, honestly, is what I think keeps the community positive. It's something in the community that keeps it positive, you know, because there's a couple like shows in Arizona where some reptile stores aren't even allowed to vend at. And it's just like, it's a little bizarre to me, you know. There's enough money to go around. There's enough in this world to, you know, let people in and sell their animals. And I just felt like that was a bit unfair, but everything we do is open to anyone who wants to come in, you know. We're not going to tell a single person no who walks through that door. Yeah. And I just felt like there's no reason in doing anything negative. Like, there's never a reason to doing anything negative, like going out of your way to admit the things you don't like about someone publicly, you know, or something like that. I just feel like it's done. I feel like that's so dated, you know. That's so dated in this reptile industry, is all the hatred and secrecy. I just felt like it was time for a change and start bringing people together, not just at a reptile show, you know. Come down and we'll have like a little barbecue and we can just talk reptiles all day or anything like that, you know, anything. So positivity, we felt, was the only way to really overcome the negatives. All they're looking for is your time of day to let them know that they're under your skin, you know. There's no better way than just to keep doing what you're doing and growing off of that. There's no reason to stop and think about the hatred. Might as well just keep growing and focus on what you're doing, because all it is a distraction. All those negative things are just distracting you from your main goal. You know, they're like speed bumps, you know, they're slowing you down from where you need to get to be. And it's just unfair in a way, like, you know, hating us because we're new or hating us because we haven't been in this game over a decade. It's just a little absurd to me. And we just, you know, of course, you know, the first couple times you hear it, it gets under your skin and you're like, man, you know, like, why do these people not like us? And after a while, you're just like, it comes with the business, you know. People aren't gonna like you. No one's gonna love you, you know. It just comes with it. You just got to put it to the side and keep moving forward with what you want to do. Well, there's obviously still haters, but what can you do, you know? You just keep doing you. You can't please everybody. You might as well just keep going for what you're doing, going for that main goal.
Well, thanks, dude.
Thank you, Garrett. Always good talking, my man.
You too. Take care.
Have a good one, bro.
All right. And I know we said that this was going to be the top 3 ways, but really there is a 4th aspect, and there was a 4th speaker at Retic Fest, Phil Goss from USARK, here to talk about how we can stand up for each other within the reptile industry to make sure that we're preserving the rights to keep and enjoy these animals for generations to come. My big question is, how has USARK come to represent kind of the spirit of reptile keeping in general?
Ooh, that's a doozy of a question. I mean, USARK, we do our utmost to always represent the community responsibly, and at times some people may call it a little bit lame, but again, we don't want to go too far with anything. And again, it's important that USARK reflects the best of the best within the reptile community, and especially if legislators or anybody hops on our social media or website, we really got to have a strong presence there. So, you know, we do what we can to make us look good. Some groups have popped up here and there on social media. I mean, there was a group called Positive Pythons for a while, and some other groups like that have popped up. I think that's where more people need to spend their energy on that kind of stuff. And if a negative news story pops up, obviously we have to be aware of it, but you know, don't keep sharing that and talking about that. You know, switch it, you know, change the conversation. I mean, it's that simple. You know, switch it around, and instead of focusing on the negative, you know, do something that makes the community look good and post something positive out there. I got a decade under my belt with this stuff, so yeah, I certainly want to see USARK grow and do bigger and better things. So looking forward to it.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Phil. We just really appreciate you throwing in and kind of being the glue that holds us all together.
Absolutely.
Well, I hope you guys had some great takeaways from that video. I would love to hear in the comment section below how you think we could make the reptile industry a better place and what you might be able to personally do to make sure that this hobby continues for generations to come. And if you guys want to see more content about this event, Retic Fest, you're going to want to check this video out right here.